Next topic we'll look at is our horns in our sheep. So we'll look at our different genotypes. So for our sheep, we have quite a few. So we'll start with big P, big P. So whenever a sheep has big P, whether they're a ram or a ewe, they'll be polled with depressions. So we see these in our breeds such as our Suffolk, our Hampshire, our Southdown, and then we also have some polled Rambouillets. Our next genotype is big P with little p prime. So for this, we get skers with some depressions in our rams, and then our ewes will get polled with the depressions. We can also get some with knobs or skers in the depression at maturity. So we'll see these in our Suffolk crossed with our horned Dorsets. So skers are knobs with small horn-like coverings, and knobs are protrusions from the skull that look like horn cones, but they're typically covered in skin and less than an inch in height. So next genotype is big P, little p. So in our rams, we'll get knobs or skers, and then some will have the depressions with skers or knobs in the depressions. And then for our ewes, we'll get polled with depressions, and then again, some with knobs in or near the depression. So we'll see these in our Suffolk Rambouillet crosses, and again, we have some polled Rambouillets. Next is little p prime, little p prime. So we get horns for our rams and our ewes. So for our ewes, our horns are normally smaller than our rams. So we see these in our breeds such as our horned Dorsets, our Wiltshire Horn, our Castle Milk Morit, and then the Rocca. Next is little p prime, little p. So this also gives us horns in both the rams and the ewes. And again, the horns on the ewes will be smaller than the rams. And then an example of when we'd see this is when we crossed a horned Dorset with a horned Rambouillet. And then lastly, we have little p. So that gives us horns in our rams. And then in our ewes, we get polled with knobs or skers. So again, an example, horned Rambouillets. We see it in Barula Merino and then South African Merinos. So let's look at some pictures. So here we have some ewes that are polled. And then this one, we can't tell whether she's polled or has skers or knobs. This one has horns, and then the two on the bottom also have horns. So here we have some Rambouillet rams, and they have the typical horns. So they have little p as their genotype. And here we have some Rambouillet ewes. So these have skers or knobs. So it's hard to see on these because of their wool on their head, but they do have skers or knobs. You can kind of see it on this one right here. And then we have Delaney Merino ram. So this one has typical horns that go with the breed. So little p. So here you can see the horns. And here we have a Merino ram. So this one also has the typical horns that go with the breed. So he's little p. And then another Barula Merino rams, all with the typical horns, little p. So then here we have the same pictures of the rams, and it's next to our ewes. So these have skers or knobs. So in this one you can see right here where the wool is around either her sker or knob, but unfortunately the picture is not detailed enough to let us know whether it's a sker or a knob. And then here we have a polled Rambouillet ram. Here we have a Rambouillet ewe. So she has skers. She's little p. So here you can see the sker coming out of her head. Here again, we have a Rambouillet ewe that has skers. So you can see the sker right here. And then here's some better pictures. So you can see the sker here and here. This one's definitely bigger. So here's the sker. And then again, that last picture we saw. And here we have a polled Rambouillet ewe. So you can see there's nothing coming out of the depression. There's just some hairs there, or some wool. And then just showing you the differences between them. So here we have the sker, and then here they're polled with depressions. Next we look at a Dorset ram. So he's little p prime, so he's horned. And here we have another Dorset ram. So again, little p prime, and then Dorset ewe. So as I said earlier, the ewes typically have smaller horns than the rams whenever they are horned. And another Dorset ewe. And we have a Wiltshire horn. So they're also little p prime. And then our Castle Milk Morit. So again, these are also little p prime. And then our Rocca. So these have quite a different looking horn than our other sheep we've looked at, but they are also little p prime. And this is a crossbreed, so I have a 3/4 Rambouillet with a 1/4 Dorset ewe. So she is p prime with a little p. So she has the horns here. Next we have an F1 Merino Dorset ewe, so p prime again with a little p. So she is also horned. So next we'll move on to our cattle. So in cattle, being horned is recessive. So they have to be little h to be horned. And being polled is dominant. So they are big H to be polled. Next we have a crossbred cow. So she is a heterozygote, big H, little h, and whenever they're heterozygote, they can be polled or scurred. So this one here has scurs. So scurs are not attached to the skull, so you can move them around. Horns are attached to the skull. So here's another picture showing what a scur looks like. And here's the chart from y'all's notes. So as I said earlier, big H is dominant. So when they're big H, they're going to be polled for bulls and cows. The heterozygotes are big H, little h, so they're polled or scurred for both bulls and cows. But it is more common that bulls will have scurs and then a little h. So for our bulls and cows, they're both horned. And typically, again, like what I said for our sheep, the horns are going to be larger than the cows. And that's at the base. So here we have a 3/4 Charolais, 1/4 Limousin. So she is polled with scurs, so she's a heterozygote. So you can see her scurs right here. And then we have a 3/4 Angus, 1/4 Charolais. So again, another heterozygote with the scurs right here. Next we have a 5/8 Angus, 3/8 Nellore. So another heterozygote. So we have a scur. And then we have a Brahman Red Angus cross with a scur. And then here we have a Brahman, and you can see he has a scur right here, so he's also heterozygote. And then we have a Brahman Polled Hereford cross. So here's her scurs. And then here's the same cow. So her scurs have gotten bigger, and they're now banana horns. So you won't be asked about banana horns in particular. They're just scurs, but they have this banana shape to them. So again, they're not attached to the skull like our horns are. And then again, here we have the same cow at 10 years old. So her horns look maybe a little bit bigger, or her scurs, excuse me. And then here's the same cow at 13 years old. And I believe here she is again. So next we have a Red Factor Charolais. So this one has scurs. So these are also banana horns, scurs. So here we have a horned Charolais bull next to a horned Charolais cow. So you can see it has the wider base here for our male and then a skinnier base for the female. And next we have a Nellore Angus, and this one has the banana horn scurs, so he is heterozygote. And we see another banana horn scurs for a Brahman bull. And then next we'll look at Gir. So our Gir horns curl. So here we have a Gir Polled Hereford F1 cow. So we have the curled skers for this one. And then on our bull, he's little h, so we just have the curled horns. And then also they're more curled, but they also have a flatter section. So this is showing this. And then here we have young Gir bulls, little h, again showing how flat the horns are.